Hi. So in this lesson, we're going to continue exploring relationships, and we're going to begin by looking at the hip joints. Now, because it's about relationships, where we start is just a doorway, and from there we'll be looking at movements throughout the whole self and how to get more of oneself in coordination with what we're doing with the hips. But the hips are a really interesting and important place to start because they are really important and powerful joints, and they are designed to do a lot of movement. They're ball and socket joints, and as such, they're capable of movement up and down, movement in and out. They're capable of rotation, but most of us don't take all the movements that our hip joints are designed to do. And when we don't, we recruit other areas of the body to get the job done. Now, on the one hand, that's a really great thing about human beings. We are very adaptable. And if certain parts of our body can't or don't move, other parts will come in and help out. On the other hand, if we're chronically not using certain movements and other parts are being called into play, those areas can get tired. So in the case of the hips, oftentimes it's the low back, areas around the pelvis, things with the knees and ankles can come up, those kinds of things. So we'll be looking at how to get the hip joints more in play, and conversely, how to get other parts of the self working in coordination with the hips so the hips themselves also feel better. The one other thing I wanted to say before beginning this lesson is that I know that a lot of people have or have had issues around the hips, and if that's you, I just want to offer a special invitation to be really kind and extra curious when you go into a lesson like this. It's easy to come into any of these lessons thinking I ought to be able to do this, or the left side should do what the right side is doing. See if just for the time being, 20 minutes, whatever, you can kind of be letting go of expectation and exploring, because when we do that, you may discover that there are ways that you could let go of some tension that you might not even have noticed. And maybe if you stay within the arena of kindness and gentleness, that arena can expand and you'll be able to do more with comfort than you thought you could. So that's all I wanted to say, and we can go ahead and get started. Okay, so thunder is how we're going to start lesson. So this is lesson 2. So once again, find a good location where you can lie down on your back. Firmer surface is great. If you can get up and down from the floor comfortably, something soft on the floor, or find a bed, the firmer the better. And if you need a little support for your head, a couple of towels or a blanket can go under your head and make yourself comfortable. And once you're lying on the floor, begin to sense how the floor is supporting you today. And if you want to, if you haven't already, feel free to close your eyes. Sometimes it's a little easier to turn our attention inward to physical sensation if we're not looking at things. So as you're resting there, tune into the contact of your pelvis with the floor. And just see today, things can change from day to day or even during the day. How is your pelvis resting now? Do the right and left sides feel the same? Is one side flatter or wider or somehow more contracted? Or maybe your pelvis feels like it's rolled a little bit to the right or the left. Sense the length of your legs. Notice how your heels are resting on the floor. If you tune into your heels, you might sense that one leg is a little more rolled out or rolled in than the other. How are your shoulders resting today? Does one shoulder feel like it's further from the spine than the other, or higher towards your ear. And how's your breathing? Probably right now you're breathing fairly quietly. You're not doing a lot of movement, but just sense how you're breathing and where you feel the resonance or movement of your breath in your body. So we're just, we begin most lessons by doing this kind of thing. As I mentioned in the introduction, Feldenkrais works by helping to cultivate an awareness of oneself, helping the brain to have more information about what's going on in the body. So by noticing and sensing these little differences, it helps to give the brain the kind of information it needs to make healthier choices for us. So now begin by bringing your attention to your right leg and start to do a very small movement of rotating your right leg a little bit inward. Just that little bit that's comfy, and then come back. Do that several times at your own pace, just slowly. Rest, pause between each movement. And of course, checking to make sure you're breathing, not holding the breath when you begin the movement or during the movement. And can you feel as you do that where that movement is being initiated from? Can you feel, and not everybody can, but can you feel any movement in your hip joint? That's a hard question because not everybody can feel their hip joint. But just, take a guess. You can sort of sense your hip joint moving. And as you do that movement, even a small movement like this, can you feel any resonance in other parts of yourself? Maybe just a tiny shifting of weight in your pelvis, or maybe not. It's a pretty small movement, so maybe not. Okay, and pause. Let that go and rest. And now with that same leg, your right leg, go ahead and do a movement of rolling it outward. Roll it outward a little bit. Now for some people, their right leg or either leg is already a little bit rolled out. It might be very rolled out. So it may be a little bit of a hard thing to think about rolling it out more, but just do the little that you can, or even imagine it. If you're really rolled out, it might be more of just imagining it. See, so you're not rolling in right now, you're just rolling out. You're starting from neutral and you're rolling out. And see, can the rest of you really relax? Sometimes when we're starting a movement that we're not sure about, or really anything that we're unclear, sometimes little other things can tense up in our body. So just checking in. And again, do you feel, is there any shifting of weight in your pelvis as you roll the right leg out? And pause, let that go and rest. And now go ahead and combine the two. So you roll the right leg out and then you roll it in. Just really slowly and gently. Again, this is your process. So there's no judging, there's no right size for the movement. It's just to explore what it feels like to organize that movement. Is it easier for you to roll in or roll out? See if you can relax your foot and ankle. So really the movement comes from the hip and the rest of the leg kind of rolls along. And now that you're doing both in and out, again, check, is there any weight shift on the pelvis? And which way does it go? When you roll the leg out, does the pelvis roll out or roll in? You could actually do either. And then pause and rest. But definitely, like Ira did, that's awesome. I encourage you to do that. If you're still exploring something, if something's interesting to you, that's more important than my telling you to stop. You explore as much as you want, or you rest as much as you want. Okay. So pause and rest, and maybe even after these little bits, you can sense something changing in your sense of the right hip and the right leg compared to the left. Just notice if that has made any difference. And now, coming back to that right leg, you're going to roll it in and out, but this time, do it really quickly. Now, that doesn't mean do it with effort, but just do it lightly and quickly, like blah, 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 blah. And as you do that, again, let your body respond. You might feel that when you do it quickly, it's a little easier to sense what's happening. Maybe you feel a little bit of a jiggle in your pelvis, or maybe a little bit of a movement in your belly, or jiggle in your ribs. So just like a jellyfish, like plop, 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 or like a fish flopping around, plop, 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 plop. Yeah, this is maybe a little bit of movement in your spine, just whatever you notice. That's great. Okay, perfect. Then let that go. Just rest. Sense your body resting in the space, contact with the floor. And now please bring your attention to your left leg and start to roll your left leg slowly inward. And just begin, and let this be a new experience. And almost all of us, I would say all of us, have asymmetries between our two legs. So this one might feel different when you start rolling it in. How is that? And can you feel your hip joint on this side, or can you imagine where it might be? And just feel how your toes kind of fan inward as you roll the hip joint and the leg inward. Feel the weight shifting on your heel as you do that. And then leave it and pause and rest. And now go ahead and take your left leg and roll it outward. And if your leg is already fairly outturned, it might not be a big movement for you, but just see if you can just sense that initiation. Just how do you begin that movement? And can you be really relaxed through your belly, through your chest? Can your breathing continue softly as you do that? This is really just an exploration for how you organize this. It's, even though these movements are small, we move our hips to do so many things all day. And if we can let go of unnecessary effort in these small movements, they can have a big impact throughout all the rest of the things we do during the day. And sensing if there's a weight shift as you do that movement, any little movement in your pelvis, and let it go. Pause for a moment, and then go ahead and combine them. So you roll in and out with your left leg. Feel the leg rolling on the floor. Feel the toes fanning out and fanning in. Relaxing any tension in your jaw, or your neck, or your shoulders. And everything just be really soft as you do this really light, easy movement. Broaden your attention. And pause for just a moment. And then go ahead and find that movement only quickly, same as you did on the right. So just plop, 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 plop. And see if when you do it quickly, it might be a little easier to feel how the rest of the body kind of jiggles around. So let your body jiggle around. You're rolling your leg, but your pelvis is probably moving a little, maybe your belly, maybe your back. You might even feel it a little higher up. So just whatever jiggles, jiggles. Like this is rolling around like a fish. Plop, 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 plop. And great. And leave it and rest. And compare how your two legs are lying now. Do they feel a little more similar, or has something become more different about them? And what is the impact that you're feeling from these movements so far? Now, go ahead and return to your right leg. And this time, you're going to roll the leg out, but roll it out until you feel, if you keep rolling it out gently, you'll feel there's a point at which your right knee will begin to soften and bend. So roll the right leg out to the point where you feel the knee just start to soften a little. Just that little place, and then go back. And that's going to happen anatomically because of the way our joints are, the way our hips and knees are. You just kind of do that, and the knee will soften, and then you go back. So you just let that happen. Starts to soften, and if you let go in the groin, if you let go in the belly, if you let go in the foot and ankle, you might find it goes a little easier, a little softer. Yeah, that's right. And again, notice if you're able to feel the weight shift on your pelvis a little bit more as you do that, when you start to let the knee bend a bit. And pause and rest. Or you can keep playing. Definitely feel free to keep on playing with that. You'll feel as the knee starts to bend that little bit, what'll start to happen actually is that your thigh, your upper leg, comes a little bit away from the floor. And so it starts to raise a little bit from the floor, doesn't it? Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just take a moment. And now come back to that movement, but let it start to guide you so that as the leg rolls out and the knee begins to soften and the upper leg starts to come away, allow it to keep coming away. So you actually start to pull your leg up the floor. Your foot approaches your pelvis as the knee bends, and then you unwind it right on back. So explore that. Just explore it. Let it be as easy as possible. Again, the more you relax in your groin and in your belly, and then for that matter, your shoulders, your chest, letting go of any unnecessary effort there. But this movement, as you're doing this movement, it's a little larger now, it's definitely going to invite a little bit of movement in your pelvis. See if you can feel that weight shifting in your pelvis to the right, and allow it to happen. Just allow it to happen. That's right. So it's interesting, we hold a lot of tension either unconsciously or because we think it's somehow important to do. But if you draw your leg up and you let your pelvis shift, you'll find it's a lot smoother to do. And you can really draw the leg up as far as you want. Just drawing it up and then reversing the course. Let the knee approach the side of yourself. Let your knee approach. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then slide it on down. So you're not really rolling over. It's not that big. But it's the movement of your leg invites movement in your body, and as your pelvis moves, that's attached to your spine will move, even your chest, your head, it's all connected. So let yourself sense that. And then rest. You've been doing that for a bit, so pause. See what might be coming into your awareness in terms of your sense of yourself, connections to your legs, into your pelvis, into your back. And now this time, you're going to do the same movement. The right leg will draw up, the left leg stays long. Left leg stays long. But you draw the right leg up, but this time you do it quickly and lightly. So it's a somewhat from that's it. And just draw it up and then come back. Slip. So it slides along the floor. The knee kind of hangs out by the floor and then slides back along the floor. So it's as really as effortless as it can be. It's very non-muscular in a certain way. It just slides up and slides back. And let that be playful. Let that flow through your body. Feel what's happening in your spine, maybe your upper back, maybe your shoulders, maybe your head is rolling. Let yourself enjoy that and then relax. Just relax. Okay, so now please bring your attention over to your left leg. And start to slowly let your left leg roll outward. But this time start to let yourself feel exactly where the knee soften and bend. As you roll it out and you just kind of continue that little bit, you'll feel there's a place where the knee is invited to bend. And just notice that and see if that helps you to sense a weight shift on your pelvis. As that becomes familiar, feel free to go ahead and draw the knee up, letting your right leg stay more or less straight, but the rolling of the left leg and the drawing of the knee up is going to invite your pelvis to turn, so you are allowed to accept that invitation. And as you let your pelvis turn, because the pelvis is connected to the spine, you'll feel the spine will probably start to turn. And as the low back turns, how far up yourself do you feel that movement travel? A movement that was begun just by that little rolling of the leg, rolling of the foot. Let it travel through you. And let it be organic to you. You know, Ira's doing it with you and he has his own trajectory and you have your own trajectory, and it's whatever you sense is the right answer. And let it go and pause for a moment. And now a few times with the left leg, just do it quickly. Just quickly, playful, then draw it up and flop, and it draws up, this foot slides up and knee slides up towards your hand or your elbow, and just feel what happens in your chest, what happens in your neck. Now, pause for a second. Oh, that's great. Actually, that looks fun. So I was going to let you play with it. But pause for a second, because I want to suggest something. Really pouring rain out there. It's kind of pretty looking out these windows here, but hope that it's not distracting. Anyway, go ahead and begin that movement again with your left leg. Draw it up. It's nice and fun and playful and gentle. And let it slide down. Now, next time you draw it up, don't let the rest of yourself participate. So hold it still. Don't let your pelvis move. Now, it's possible to do. We have that kind of movement in our joints. You know, there are certain sports or dance, and there's definitely things where we hold it. But notice how you do that. How do you organize to do that? What happens to the movement? So you don't let your pelvis roll. Don't let your pelvis roll. Don't let your ribs go. Don't let your belly go. Don't let your chest or your shoulders go. Don't let your neck go. Everything stays right in the middle, but your leg blows out to the side. What muscles do you turn on, or how do you organize to ensure that the rest of you stays still? And then let that go, all of that, and draw your leg back up the other way, where everything is free. So nice and light, that's right. All those things you are holding, let them go. Feel what happens in your head and neck, what happens in your sternum, what happens in your ribs, all that. There you go. Fantastic. And rest. Just rest. Great. Let's play with that with the other side. So go on over to your right leg. Easily draw it up just a couple times, just in a nice way. And then start to brace yourself. So as you draw the right leg up, it still can move. You've still got movement in your hip joint, but you don't let your pelvis move. Notice if your pelvis is shifting its weight, don't let it do that. Hold it still. Don't let your pelvis move. Don't let it, if you really don't let your pelvis move, you'll find this movement is pretty darn hard. You have to have a lot of mobility in your hip joint to do this without letting your pelvis move. But how do you do that? How do you organize so that the rest of you stays still? Are you holding in your belly? Are you breathing? Holding in your jaw or your chest? Or where do you do this? Where do you personally do this? And then after you've done that last one, let that go completely and just draw your leg up, letting everything move. Let go. Anything you were holding, there you go. Let yourself breathe. Let it feel good. This movement can feel good. You're not fighting gravity here. You're just working with sort of basic anatomical construction. You're just sliding it up real easy and sliding it down. There you go. And rest. That's great. Rest. And as you rest there, notice how you're contacting the floor. Feel your pelvis, feel the length of your spine. Now, come back to your left leg and begin to draw it up a few times and just let it come up, let your body roll, let it resonate. And next time you draw it up, when it gets to a certain place, if you don't let your body roll too much, you'll feel that as the leg rolls out, there's a certain place where the knee actually starts to lift from the floor. Let it lift and bring it towards the ceiling. That's right. So your foot is now standing and your knee is up. And let it, that's right, go back to the same way it came. So explore that circularity. It's kind of a scooping motion. I think of it as a scoop, right? So the knee, now from standing, the knee goes out to the side and slides down straight, unrolls itself. And then the left foot rolls out, the knee scoops, the foot scoops, and it comes up to standing. Let your body participate in this. Let your body roll. Feel the weight shifting back and forth on your pelvis, your spine, your shoulder girdle. It's a really lovely, relaxing movement. And let that go, slide down, pause for a moment. And try that same thing on the right side. So you slowly let the leg roll out, feel the knee start to lift. As the knee comes with us, scoop it on up. So honor your own trajectory here. Honor your own pace. It's a synchronized sort of movement. And due to the nature of the hip joint, there's kind of a scooping, like a circularity to it. And it's sort of again, I think of it as like a little scoop that starts, you can even feel your foot sort of scooping out, and then your leg rolls out, and eventually your knee will start to lift. You just allow that to happen. There you go. And this is really lovely weight shifting that happens. Back and forth along the floor. Beautiful. And rest for a moment. That's excellent. Yeah. Now come back to your right leg. Go ahead and do that same movement of scooping it on up. The leg rolls out, the knee softly bends, the leg comes up. But this time, as it comes up, leave it there. When the knee comes all the way up to the ceiling and your foot is standing, leave it there. Left leg is long, and the right foot is standing. Now, with your right foot standing there, do a movement of pushing the floor lightly with your right foot to roll your pelvis to the left. That's it. That's perfect. Just small, just small, just small. Little bitty. Just nice and light. Let yourself roll and feel how the right hip lifts and the spine moves and the chest moves, and you feel how your left leg also starts to move. Now don't let your right knee go too much over. Keep your right knee more or less towards the ceiling. See if you can feel how the left leg starts to roll with you. If it's not rolling, invite it to roll. Let go in the groin. And now, as you do that, and you start to feel your left leg roll, see if you can find that place where the knee softly bends on that left leg and let it come, and then let it go back down. Go all the way, don't be done. Just explore. So you push with the right leg, you roll, the left knee softens, and then you slide back down. It's very lazy, it's fluid. The weight rolls on the floor, and you're just doing the amount of work that you need to get these large parts of yourself. Actually, your legs are pretty big, but they're just moving as easily as you can make them move. And then you can start to, as you find your way into that, you can start to draw your left leg up more each time until eventually the left leg will come all the way up to standing like the right. The left knee can begin to start to unweight itself from the floor. And then the knee comes up to meet the right knee. And then you rest there with both knees for a moment. And then the left leg goes right back the same way again and unrolls itself. So you do that a few times. Each time it's initiated by that right foot pushing, and it brings your knee up. And then the knee, left knee falls back out, letting go of the groin and sliding back on down. And then sliding back on up. And the next time that knee is there, pause right there in the middle with both knees up. And now, let your right knee begin to go to the outside slowly. Letting go of the groin, and right knee slides on down, unrolls itself. And now, starting with the pushing of the left foot, roll your pelvis. That's it. Now, it might be worth slowing it down. You haven't done this side yet. So let your right leg go all the way straight, unravel itself. A few times with your left foot, just push and roll. Feel the soft bending of the knee and then slide it back down. Let your right leg have its day. Let it have its time, a little time. Left leg pushes, right leg rolls out, begins to soften, and you feel that. There you go. And then you can start to slide it up. And feeling all the while your pelvis is rolling as you push. Spine rolls. How does your neck receive that? How does your chest receive that? How's your head and neck? Can you really relax your head and neck so it's free to roll? It doesn't have to roll, but it could roll. And now begin to allow that right leg to come back up to standing when it's ready. Perfect. And then come right back out the way it came. Unrolling itself, sliding along the floor. You're not fighting gravity here at all. So the leg comes up when it's ready. And then when it goes back out, it goes as far down to the floor as it can. You don't have to fight anything. It slides back on down. Beautiful. And then you can begin to alternate. So when the right leg slides up, it comes all the way up to meet the left leg. And then the left leg goes down and slides all the way down so it's straight. And you just go back and forth, rolling along, letting as much space between the knees as is available to you as the one slides out and it falls back down, so you can really let go in the groin, let go in your hands, let go in your fingers, let go in your jaw. It's a very fluid movement. That's great. And when you feel like you've had enough, let both of your legs fall to the outside and then unwind themselves and come to straighten. And now both legs fall out and slide on down. Perfect. There you go. And just feel your contact with the floor now. Feel the width of your pelvis. Feel the space under your low back. Whether anything has changed in your relationship to the floor. Feel the width of your upper back. And what might have changed in your sense of yourself? Now, very slowly, please roll to your side and make your way comfortably up to sitting. See if you can honor your process and your body as you do that, so you stay within your felt sensations. And slowly come up to sitting and get used to gravity, and then slowly come up to standing when you're ready. And be with yourself in standing for a few moments and just see, what is it like to stand on your legs now? What's the sensation of your spine, and how is your head resting over your spine? How are your legs supporting you? What's the feeling around your hip joints? You can shift your weight a little bit or begin to slowly walk around if you'd like. Just feel how it is to move on those legs now, how it is to move those hips.